I'm going to try to pick up on that last tape, and I'm going to try to name the first one, America Did It, and then tape video 2, and then this one is video 3. Obviously, I put most of this. I can't put it because I was tortured and had no civil rights or anything throughout my life. I was telling about the antifreeze being put into me and carried across the state line by Lionel Dempsey. And when I was stuffed into the car well, that would have been Marietta, Smyrna, I'd gone for a toxicology screen to see what had been given me, forced into me so that I could have it diluted or neutralized, hopefully, because I knew I was a dead person. Instead, I was locked up illegally. No, and I've just said that on the other tape, so I'm hoping if anybody cares, they go back and watch the tape, the videos. When I'm getting in there from the second hospital, though, where I just spent one night, so why am I being switched like this if you know nothing else? My ex-husband, Philip, who I grew up thinking was a half-brother, and I know now he was kidnapped himself 5 years later after I was placed in that hellhole. He was brought there. And I always thought that his father was the FBI, Assistant FBI Director Sullivan, or O'Sullivan, who himself was kidnapped or shot during a hunting trip. I can't remember. But I always thought that Philip was kidnapped when I started finding out about myself. And I don't know who his father is, but I know he didn't belong in that family either. But he was there and helped stuff me in the car. And I know some things have happened to Philip, and I'm not sure that he could have done anything different. His wife, Nancy, could have, and she helped stuff me in there when I'm begging to go to my apartment that's now stolen. I didn't know it then. It's in my ex-husband's name. And my ex-husband, by the way, I didn't know this either, married right after then. So he tried to help kill me, to help the people that put the antifreeze in me. And my sons never knew any of this. So he had my sons, my apartment, the leases. He's been allowed to sign it. It's in his name, and they're stuffing me in a car. And Nancy, Philip worked for the ATF, and he had worked for Howard Baker in 80, later in 80, after this was going on with me, because Baker ran for president, so Philip was like a guard up in D.C. To him, and I'm wasting time on here because it's not really, it's an everyday thing that they've done that I don't know how I lived. But his wife, Nancy, helped stuff me in the car, and she said to me, we can't help you because the people that Philip worked for are doing it to you. Well, she meant the ATF, and everybody thinks that the ATF, the FBI, they're all separate agencies. No, they are one and the same now. So anyway, I was taken across the state line, and since I can't tell the suffering and the illegal acts done in it, she dumped me off at Crestwood with me begging to go back home, or at least at that time to go to her place. I'm not sure I begged to go to her place. I begged to go back home. But she said that if I didn't get out at the Crestwood, she drove up there, and it's about 9, 10 o'clock, the 5th of April, next day is Easter Sunday. She would call the cops and have a warrant and have me arrested, and I'd have to go. So remember what had just happened to me. I can hardly talk, so nobody's going to listen to me, and I realized that. I had to go with her in there. I had no money at all, not even for a phone call. So I was locked up again, and I'm not even going to go through it. The toxicology I asked for again, nothing was done there. Finally, on the next day's Easter, nothing was done. Oh, and this is a hell going on here in this hospital, and Dempsey's trying to get me sent away to the state, so she's rid of me, and I knew the woman was evil, and she mistreated me beyond belief. But I didn't know that the reason, part of it, I mean, she's just evil, but she killed her twins. And if the book had exposed who I really am being published, then she was open for the gas chamber in Alabama. So that was part of it I later found out. And it was told me by one of her sisters, Ann Carter, um, Mrs. Ezra Carter from um, Carlisle, Kentucky, admitted it finally, and I guess it was July, I believe, last June or July of '85, I think. She admitted it to me. I mean, so they got into a conspiracy right there, the family, to cover up murder, to cover up my kidnapping and torturing me. You get so many people that should have been confined to prison, and nobody ever was arrested or accused or anything. But anyway, I finally got out of the Crestwood where Dempsey had put me, Easter, or so I got out about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks later. The talk screen that I'd originally gone to West Paces Ferry in Atlanta for on April the 1st of '80 was never done. It was done at this hospital. Was put there. I won't say admitted. I was forced there the 5th of April that night. It was done the next Wednesday, which I suppose was the 9th day after I'd originally gone to West Paces Ferry. It was finally done. When it came back from Atlanta, Georgia. It should have come, the report been sent to the state lab in Alabama. So I'm showing you all the discrepancies. It showed antifreeze and something else that I don't need. I never did any kind of drug in my life. I don't drink. The most I've ever done was try to sip a drink or hold it, and I wouldn't do that now because I don't drink. Um, so it's appalling as some things. It's almost like what was done to my father. So many people lied, and it's out and out lies that were done. But illegal acts to me here too, every step of the way, and to my sons. I got out and I had to go back to Dempsey's, and later I found out that my ex-husband is paying her money also to keep me there. Well, I can't tell you the shape my brain was in. I had brain damage, for God's sake. I should have died in a coma, and somehow I managed to make it. That May, middle of May, I passed a background check, went to work for the district attorney, Fred Simpson, Madison County, Alabama, Huntsville, and I lived at Warren House. Now, I'll let you piece together the Warren as in the Warren Commission, Simpson as in Wallace Warfield Simpson that was supposed to have married the Duke of Windsor. He was an imposter, not my father, Edward VIII. The next job I had was for Doyle Duke, Golden Triangle Publishing, and he and Clarice, and I liked them. I really did. They were CIA. So I'm saying this because it was an ongoing struggle and fight and laws done to me. I was put on the street. I ended up back, and I'm skipping some because I've put it on tapes and it's just taking it up. And the part I wanted to get to here was that Jimmy Carter had been governor and he became president. But that's Atlanta, Georgia, the capital where I lived, and so much of this was done. He appointed Andrew Young, Reverend, as ambassador to the UN, another arm of the American government. It is. In essence, it would be really, I would think, the New World Order. When all is said and done, and it's just about there, and you've lost your rights, except a handful of people that'll control everything. But Andrew Young used his power and influence and all that, and Jimmy Carter well knew it. And they went into South Africa to take it from the Brits. Plain and simple. You can sugarcoat whatever you want to. They were forming a revolution, just like the Americans when they took the colonies away from the Brits way back then. That wasn't enough.